This is going to blow your mind. You can't afford to miss this opportunity, which may be your last chance to purchase XRP coins at such a low price. Coinbase, the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, is doing everything in its power to pump XRP Ripple. Sounds crazy, right? But what price are they aiming for? The answer to that question is up to you. Crypto experts predict that XRP could rise to $120,580. We should get right to the point. Disclaimer: more than merely a summary, Attorney John Dion's recent analysis of Coinbase's decision to introduce regulated XRP futures contracts marks a turning point in XRP's protracted and tumultuous relationship with U.S. regulators. Coinbase Institutional declared that it had submitted a self-certification application for XRP futures to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, characterizing the product as a capital-efficient and regulated method of gaining exposure to one of the most liquid digital currencies. April 21st is the anticipated launch date of the futures contract, but a multi-year tale of legal ambiguities lies behind that declaration. Dion's response provided a thorough explanation of how we got here. In his in-depth post, he went over how Coinbase had already concluded through internal legal review in January 2019 that XRP was not a security. This conclusion was reached by some of the most seasoned securities attorneys in the cryptocurrency space. Prior to listing the asset, Coinbase met with the SEC and explained their reasoning, telling the agency that they planned to proceed with the listing unless the SEC explicitly disagreed. The SEC never objected. There were no warnings, and there were no enforcement threats. In 2019, Coinbase formally listed XRP shortly after it started marketing XRP and USDC as quick and inexpensive cross-border payments. In December 2020, the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple Labs, claiming that all XRP coins, regardless of how they were obtained, were unregistered securities. This was a clear nod to the real-world utility of XRP. Dion referred to this action as an act of bad faith, pointing out that the SEC had long been aware of XRP's legal history, including its 2015 settlement with FinCEN that required Ripple to register XRP as a convertible virtual currency. This agreement had already subjected Ripple to stringent reporting and auditing requirements for years, including oversight of all XRP sales from 2015 to 2020. Perhaps most damning, according to Dion, was an internal SEC memo called the XRP Howey analysis memo written by SEC enforcement lawyers in June 2018. The memo did not support issuing a cease and desist, and Dion believes that silence is evidence that the SEC did not consider XRP to be a security even at that time. The discrepancies between the SEC's initial quiet and its subsequent action are startling. Exchanges like Coinbase, which had functioned under the presumption of legal certainty, were also caught off guard. The lawsuit caused chaos and sent XRP's price plummeting off major exchanges, but the community didn't give up. More than 75,000 XRP holders joined the case as amici curiae, and in July 2023, a major victory was rendered by Judge Annalisa Torres, who ruled that XRP is not a security when traded on secondary markets. This was a huge win for Ripple, Coinbase, the cryptocurrency industry as a whole, and particularly for retail investors who had been left in the dark for years. The story is changing for Dion, who called it the culmination of a year-long battle, and said bluntly, "Imagine the massive waste of money, resources, and time, but we won." A strong message is also sent by the decision to pursue XRP futures under the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's supervision rather than the SEC's, positioning XRP as a commodity rather than a securities move that might attract a lot of institutional investment. Coinbase wouldn't take the chance of promoting this product if it didn't have faith in XRP's legal standing. The fact that it's taking place under the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's jurisdiction is significant because it represents the end of a gradual but steady change in how U.S. regulators are starting to view XRP and possibly digital assets. More generally, as Dion put it, we won, and with Coinbase now doubling down, the next win could be on the price chart. However, the real question that everyone has been asking is how much higher can XRP go from here? Could this move by Coinbase be the spark that finally sends Ripple to the moon? More importantly, will XRP holders finally see life? XRP's journey has been marked by lawsuits, delays, and regulatory confusion. But this move may signal a new phase one where the token is no longer fighting for legitimacy, but actively shaping the future of regulated crypto trading. While the world appears to be stumbling through crisis after crisis, one thing has remained constant for devoted XRP holders. They believe that, as a Manx so brilliantly put it, the world is collapsed, but at least you are an XRP holder. Crypto analysts and legal experts have weighed in, and their predictions could blow your mind. As a result, the narrative surrounding XRP is evolving faster than ever before, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss the next financial revolution in real time. From a technical standpoint, it reflects the quiet confidence that is growing within the XRP community. Traders like Steph encourage us to see past the commotion of the moment. He tweeted, "The next leg higher is just a matter of time when in doubt zoom out," indicating that the XRP is still in a notable uptrend on the higher time frames. And he's correct. Zooming out shows the bigger image. King XRP, a cryptocurrency influencer, joked on Twitter that the president announces the market, especially U.S. cryptos like XRP, is about to skyrocket, and our nation will prosper, but with Ripple's increasing global partnerships and central banks exploring digital currencies, it doesn't sound so outlandish anymore, even more dramatic. The digital asset that has withstood regulatory storms has re-emerged stronger and is now at the center of serious institutional conversations, and people are dreaming big, very big crypto influencers. About 98% of individuals, according to Ripple, Pumpkin, will sell their XRP after $10 and $50. I want to see the price rise above $100. That perspective is in line with an increasing number of long-term holders who think that XRP's value in a fully tokenized environment will cause prices to rise well above current levels. Patrick Bet David, a $300 to $50 million entrepreneur, made one of the most audacious projections, stating that XRP would eventually hit $1,000. Then came the most outrageous prediction of them. CryptoGeek's tweet stating that XRP will be $10,000 in America may seem ludicrous, but it reflects a very real and intricate analysis by Valhill Capital. Their XRP collateralization model, which is based on the tokenization of global wealth, puts XRP's fair market value at an astounding $122,580 per token. According to their calculations, if the world's total wealth, which is estimated to be 5.3 quadrillion, were to be tokenized, and XRP played a significant role in collateralizing that amount, the numbers start to make sense. Their model includes a 1.25x 25x risk adjustment and a projected growth to $6.2 quadrillion in tokenized assets by 2030. Divide that amount by the amount of XRP in circulation, and you arrive at 122,580. Yes, it's highly speculative and requires global adoption and a complete restructuring of financial systems as we know them. But what's remarkable is the seriousness of the research and the depth of thought behind these valuations. Whether you're hoping for $5, eyeing $50, or dreaming of $100,000, one thing is certain: XRP isn't just another altcoin anymore. It's becoming a key player in a much bigger story, and the next chapter could change everything. Of course, such explosive growth isn't happening by chance. It's being engineered through powerful strategic partnerships. You might not even realize it, but Ripple is quietly embedding itself into the backbone of global finance, from central banks to multinational corporations. These aren't moon boy dreams. They're based on economic models and evolving realities about How money value and technology are merging. As innovation permeates every aspect of the financial industry, the takeover is taking place behind the scenes. And if you own XRP, this could be the most bullish signal ever. As a result, the true value of XRP is beginning to emerge, which is different from what most retail traders believe. The heart of this change as XRP continues to establish a major presence in the global financial environment is encapsulated in John Squire's tweet that innovation in any field is inevitable. Versan Aljara, the head of Black Swan Capitalist, has even gone so far as to assert that XRP's current market value does not accurately represent its actual value. Global financial organizations have already determined that XRP is worth significantly more than what the majority of people believe it to be today. His analysis is based on more than just market speculation. It also takes into account the inner workings of some of the most influential figures in the finance industry. In the case of XRP, the players are central banks, multinational financial giants like JP Morgan and BlackRock, and organizations like the Bank for International Settlements. These entities don't operate on whims. They represent the backbone of global finance, and when they decide on the value of an asset, it's not a guess but rather a calculated deliberate decision grounded in the long-term utility of that asset. According to Aljara, XRP is being treated not as a typical cryptocurrency, but as a crucial utility for cross-border payments and global financial interoperability. This change in XRP's value speaks volumes about its practical use. It is already incorporated into financial systems, particularly in nations where traditional banking infrastructure finds it difficult to keep up with the speed of international trade. For instance, financial systems in the Caribbean, including Barbados, have already incorporated XRP for live cross-border transactions. This isn't speculative use. Rather, it is real functional adoption, and Ripple's entry into new markets highlights this momentum. Ripple recently expanded into Portugal and secured a significant partnership with Unicambio, which is another step in its larger strategy to connect financial systems worldwide. As this network expands, so does XRP's role within it, further solidifying its position as a key player in the financial ecosystem. What all of this indicates is that, contrary to what some may believe, retail speculation is not driving XRP's price. Rather, its value is being determined by its growing global utility. Its price is set by governments, financial institutions, and central banks based on its ability to address real-world issues, rather than how many people purchase and sell on exchanges. The XRP market has been bouncing recently due to a massive 200 million XRP transfer valued at an astounding 355 million blockchain monitoring service. This is a far cry from the traditional price movements we see in other cryptocurrencies, where hype and speculation often rule the day. Of course, the whales couldn't resist jumping in behind the scenes, and they're quietly positioning themselves for what's coming next by quietly accumulating millions of XRP Ripple coins. This is another huge bullish signal that many people are completely ignoring, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind. Whale Alert was the first to notice the transaction, and the XRP community reacted quickly. At first, there was a lot of panic because people thought that this large transfer meant that a whale was selling off their assets on the Binance exchange, which could have signaled the beginning of a price dump. After all, it happened immediately, after XRP's value had dropped by 16%, which fueled the fire. However, things took a surprising turn when Whale Alert clarified that this wasn't a case of whales selling off their holdings. Rather, it was an internal transfer between Binance-managed wallets. These internal transfers are common for major exchanges like Binance as they restructure funds and manage liquidity. But given XRP's recent surge in popularity, every movement of large amounts of coins garners significant attention. This clarified the situation and eliminated any notion of market manipulation. But the timing of the transfer raises important questions. Why was there such a massive movement of XRP? Was this a sign of something larger in the works, such as an upcoming exchange listing or preparations for another major move within the platform? The XRP community was rocked by the initial market decline after the transfer, but the subsequent recovery demonstrated something noteworthy despite the volatility. The price recovery right after the decline indicates that trader confidence is still high, and XRP is still a very active asset with increasing interest. This scenario further emphasizes the increasing influence of whales on XRP's price fluctuations. Although some people think these large players are covertly amassing more coins, they may also be setting themselves up for a significant price spike when the timing is right behind the scenes. To get ready for a price spike, whales with enormous holdings frequently subtly influence market sentiment. Some people believe that a purposeful accumulation is taking place because of the significant movement of XRP just when the asset is rebounding. This will probably cause the market to rise when these whales decide to release their hold. This leads to a single conclusion. Retail traders and speculative hype aren't the only factors driving XRP's value. Institutional players like whales and major financial institutions are also subtly guiding it in anticipation of a time when XRP will be more fully integrated into the global financial system. This behind-the-scenes activity may be the secret force driving the price to new heights, leaving many people unaware of how much more XRP could be worth in the future. The only question left is whether you think that XRP is worth more. We've gotten to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and if you found it useful, please hit the like button. What are your predictions for the Ripple token? Let me know in the comments below. Most essential, remember to subscribe and leave a comment with your ideas or queries.